Well, I thought I'd do something a little bit different. For about 2 years or so, I've had a group on Facebook known as you can see here, Expats in Asia News and Chat. And that's pretty much what it is. I try to share some of the news going on in all of Southeast Asia, not just the Philippines. If you'd like to, not subscribe, but I mean, just be part of the group and comment on it or just get the news articles, I'll give a link to the group location in Facebook, but I'll put the link here in the top comment and also in the description. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's been going on here in roughly the last week. Okay, as you can see here, in case you haven't noticed, there's a little bit of a coup going on in China with the military and the government, the CCCP. There was some other articles that came out earlier in the week that a certain, I believe he was like a general, he's basically running the entire military, and there was a power struggle. So now, because of that, it says here, this is one of the news articles, China freezes Japan air routes. Let's see, this comes from Jennifer Jr. in Tokyo. China has canceled flights on 49 air routes to Japan, pushing January's cancellation rate to 47.2%, nearly double of what they canceled in December. The suspension follows a travel agency issued by China's foreign ministry after remarks on Taiwan by Japan's prime minister. So that was a whole separate thing. The largest carriers are offering free refunds and changes through October, so just in case you did happen to already book, signaling expectations of prolonged disruption. So this is not going to end anytime soon. But basically, if you did book through, say, China Eastern, China Southern, or maybe even Hong Kong, if you've got a flight that's going to lay over in Taiwan on its way to China, this may be something you'll want to check out. Again, you can get the link to any of these articles just by coming to the Expats in Asia news group, which, again, the link will be there in the description. And speaking of Taipei, this comes from the Manila Times, and you would think people would know by now. You'd think that they would know better. You don't make jokes about bombs on a plane in any country. They will drag you off the plane. And that's what happened to these people. Let's see, this was January 24th. So let's see, you've got Manila, Philippines. 2 travelers were prevented from boarding their flights after making a bomb joke. They hadn't even left the terminal yet. This wasn't on the plane. They made a bomb joke at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, Terminal 3 on Thursday night. The PNP Aviation Security Group reported Saturday. So again, pretty stupid thing to do. You know, if the word bomb even comes up in your head, don't say it out loud, whatever it is, you know. So they definitely missed their flight. Now, this is pretty interesting. Again, you can get the link to the whole thing. It's about 11 minutes long. I won't play the whole thing. You can kind of see the captions here. Bottom line, this is over in Vietnam. This woman stole like a percentage of the entire nation's GDP. And there it was, something like an equivalent of 763 billion. I mean, this is huge. Really interesting article about how she pulled it off and set up these shell companies, was basically acting as a bank. Vietnam went ahead and approved her group as a bank, but every deposit that came in was allegedly, moved over into these shell companies that she controlled. So apparently they've gone ahead and given her the death penalty. Her niece, who helped her out, was sentenced to I think it was 8 years or something. Her husband, he got 4 years. But this is pretty huge. And then we got these two. Now this one, I forget where he's from, but it's, I believe, in a European country. You're probably familiar with this one here from Estonia. Basically, they were perp walked out here to kind of make, and this is, by the way, from the Manila Standard, to basically make the point that if you're going to be a vlogger in any country, but obviously this is Philippines, in another country, you really need to tread lightly. I mean, and all that means is be a decent human being. You know, don't do sketchy things. Don't do sketchy things on camera to try and get views. And this includes, and I believe this is going to expand, not just harassing the locals, but harassing other vloggers, whether it be on video or in person, to try and, again, get views is the motive. The Philippines has very strict defamation laws, and they have laws about basically what is considered public harassment, people that invade your private space. Now, the usual argument is, well, you're in the public, so I can film you and do what I want. No, not once a person tells you, I do not give my permission to be videotaped. Turn your camera away. At that point, if they continue to film you, it is harassment, and you can have charges pressed against that person. So this has been a long time coming. I'm glad to see that the Philippines is putting some teeth behind the existing, again, harassment laws, defamatory laws, bastos laws that are holding guys like this accountable. They're not playing around. Philippines is done with being just sort of turning the other cheek and, kind of like being too polite, which is what I always thought in the past. It's like the time for politeness is over. It's time to start putting these people in jail. So I'm sure you guys have followed with Vitali and, again, I forget his name. I think it's Pro-Life Traveler or something like that here on the bottom. This other guy recently, he was charged by the Philippines because he did a video bragging about how he was going to go out and spread HIV in the Philippines. Stupid thing to do. So that's another item that came up this week. Over here, we've got in Thailand, and this comes from Thai Vibe. Over here in Thailand, it says, important update for anyone planning to visit Thailand. Breaking. Thailand has tightened its sexual harassment laws. Tourists are included. Now, this applies across the board to Thai citizens and tourists. Thailand has introduced stricter sexual harassment laws. Any unwanted touching, comments, so if somebody's passing by and you say something that's considered sexual harassment, comments, gestures, messages, or online behavior can now be treated as a criminal offense, even if someone believes it's normal or harmless in their country. These laws apply to everyone, locals, expats, and tourists, okay? Especially in places like Pacha, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, especially in places like Pacha where social interactions and nightlife are common, misunderstandings can happen more easily. I mean, who knows how many arguments have been started just because they couldn't quite figure out the whole gender thing. Under the new law, women can file complaints against men, and men can also file complaints if they feel harassed. So this is going to kind of, put the, I don't know what you'd call them, solicitors, the women of the night. It's going to kind of put them on notice. No more, grabbing you by the wrist and pulling on you and that whole nonsense. If you're an expat and one of these women or somebody that looks like a woman starts grabbing you by the wrist and come on, you could file charges, that this is harassment. Now, it would be better if you have it on video. So it hopefully will calm things down a little bit and reduce some of the misunderstandings. Single guys planning to visit Thailand, please research the law in detail on the internet or the official Thai government websites before booking your flight. Now, this is an interesting one. This one comes from Japan Inside, and it's basically about a video that went viral. This guy here made a very simple comment. Very simple. Says that if you don't like Japan's rules or laws, and really by rules, I believe he means the societal, culture, you don't have to come here. In fact, Japan has made it pretty clear that they do not want an overflow of immigration. Now, being an expat, a visitor, a tourist is not the same as immigrating into the country. A lot of people get this confused and they say, oh, if you're an expat, you're an immigrant. No, you're not. An expat is a person that is living outside their own country, short or long term. An immigrant is a person that goes to another country and legally becomes a citizen there. Just like when somebody comes from wherever it is, you name it, Africa, Italy, anywhere, any country, they go to the United States and they go to the immigration department and they apply to get permanent residency and then get their citizenship in the United States. That is an immigrant. They are changing citizenship. That's an immigrant. And I have lost count how many times I have seen these comments. Oh, you think you're an expat, but you're actually an immigrant. No, not unless you change and legally become a citizen of another country, then you're an immigrant. Otherwise, you're simply either a short-term vacationer tourist or an expat. Again, a person that is living outside their own country on a short or long-term basis. Anyways, back to this. There's been too many incidents where expats have gone to Japan and just basically crap the bed. I mean, just horrible. There was Johnny Somali. That's one. There was another that there was this, I believe it was a shrine, but it was basically a national monument type of place. I forget the exact details. I read it about 5 months ago. Anyways, and some expat decided to go there and climb over the fence. And I forget if they tagged it or vandalized it, but basically, they ruined it. I mean, this thing had been around for hundreds of years, and this person damaged it. Okay, so, I mean, they've had it. Japan has had it with unruly tourists. So let's see what they have to say here from Japan Inside. A Japanese man went viral after giving a blunt answer during a street interview with a foreign interviewer about Japan's strict social rules. And if you're not aware, check out some of the videos about Japanese culture. I think it's pretty awesome what they do. Now, there's some other things that are kind of like a little counterproductive, but overall, as a society, not just very polite, but very considerate of other people. Okay, so there is a whole culture there that really, if you're going to go to Japan, do your research, because it's not Kansas. When asked why some visitors feel Japan's rules are too strict, he calmly replied, "Yes, it is, but you don't have to come here." The interviewer pushed further, asking if people who dislike the rules should avoid Japan entirely. The man doubled down without hesitation and answered yes, making his stance unmistakably clear. He explained that strict rules are part of how Japan maintains peace, safety, and social harmony. According to him, visitors are welcome only if they respect Japanese culture and the way that their society functions. He even added that those who do respect it are welcome to come and enjoy Japan. Have a beer with him. The clip shocked the interviewer, but resonated with many viewers who saw it as a simple common sense. And that's the thing. If you're going to live, it doesn't matter, Japan, Philippines, anywhere, any country you're going to go to where you're the fish out of water, it's not upon the country to accommodate you. It's upon you to adjust to the local culture. And if you don't like it, leave. Go to a place where you do. If you want to do drugs, go to Amsterdam. They have a pretty loosey-goosey policy about it there. But if you want to do that in the Philippines and think, oh, well, back in my country, marijuana is, it's legal, legit. Well, you're not in California. You're not in the United States. You're in the Philippines. And you may think it's extreme until you're handcuffed and you're going to prison for possession of weed. If you think that can't happen in the Philippines, it does. I know. My former maid from way back in 2013, she got busted with weed. She's still in jail, at least as of 2 years ago. That a friend of mine that lives near in the area said, yeah, she's still in jail. So no, it's upon us as expats to know what's going on in the country that we visit, and either we obey the rules, obey the laws, and that includes the cultural rules, which are not always laws. But for instance, in the Philippines, in a public space, to shout your voice above everyone else's, that's rude. To shout out obscenities in the middle of a disagreement, extremely rude. The only difference is that in the Philippines, you're probably going to end up with some very personal emotions coming from that other person. And if you have to see them on a regular basis, you can kind of expect something's going to escalate. Whereas in Japan, when you offend others, basically they just turn your backs on you. Opportunities close. They're not going to invite you. They have a whole other way. Basically, it's shunning. There's no big conflict. They just simply don't deal with you anymore. And that may include, in fact, many restaurants, and people may be surprised to find this out. In Japan, there are many businesses, restaurants, bars, and it says on a very clear sign that you can't miss it, Japanese only. They are sick and tired of having foreigners basically behave badly in their country. So there are businesses that say Japanese only. That's it, So anyways, just a reminder, behave yourself when you're in another country. Okay, now this article involves Vietnam, and I highly recommend, again, the link is here in my Expats in Asia News and Chat Facebook group, which is free. Again, I'll give you the link and you can come here and you can get these updates all the time. And you can check out, this one is quite a bit to summarize, but essentially it used to be pretty darn easy. Like I remember when I went to Vietnam, I landed and the very next day I had a bank account, a real bank account. I had my card, my debit card, everything in one day. I mean, it literally took like not even an hour. And it was kind of like going to a Starbucks. They serve you coffee and, while you're waiting. It's very nice. Well, things have changed for 2026. If you're going to be in Vietnam, kind of long term, anytime you're an expat, one of the things that is just mandatory is you have multiple ways to access your money. Now, if you have a Philippines GCash card, not just the account, but a GCash card, you can use that in Vietnam. In fact, I've even used it in the United States. There's also Timo, which you can use, and it's kind of QR based, and you can pay for things that way. But now they want you to do a whole digital ID requirement. It's basically harder to get a bank account in Vietnam as a foreigner, especially if you're going to be there long term. So that affects your ability. You've got to work out when you're looking for an apartment, again, long term, you're going to be there 3 months, 6 months, a year. You've got to have a conversation with your landlord. Okay, I'm interested in the place. If I were to rent it out, how would I transfer payment for the rent? Because what I used to do is just a bank transfer because I had a bank account, a Vietnamese bank account. But if that's no longer going to be, which it's looking like, it's no longer going to be an easy option, well then you've got to work out with the landlord, okay, well what other payments could we use? There's wise.com, you can wire it directly into his bank account. There's other options. But definitely you want to figure that out first. Another thing that's changing here that's covered in this video, and by the way, I've been watching this guy for about a year, he's pretty good, is the fact that if you're a smoker in Vietnam, about the only place you're going to be able to smoke is like in the bathroom at your not your hotel, but your apartment. Maybe, because a lot of leases in Vietnam do not allow smoking. Maybe they'll have a spot on the roof that you could go smoke. But Vietnam is pretty much, including vaping, okay, and any kind of what they call a hot tobacco product, in other words, smoking, cigars, cigarettes, pretty much across the board, they're saying, no, you can't do it. They don't even want people selling it, tobacco products or cigarettes or all that. So forget about bars and restaurants and open places, the park. Just forget about it. If you're a smoker, think twice about spending long term in Vietnam unless you're willing to quit smoking. There's even more in this, so I highly recommend come to the group. Just scroll down, you'll see the link here, and it's just kind of packed with information. So here's another post about Japan. It comes from Wander in Japan. Now this right here is just a small portion of, like, the entire room was left like this. Let me go down here and expand this a little bit. Japanese social media erupted after a hotel employee revealed the disturbing condition of a room allegedly left behind by 2 Chinese tourists, igniting waves of disbelief, anger, and heated debate across the internet. The employee, who goes by Aki Kiku online and is also known for sharing behind-the-scenes hotel stories, described opening the room after checkout and being confronted with what many viewers called a nightmare. Despite being described in comments as cute young Chinese women, the guests reportedly left the space in a state that few could have imagined. Photos shared with the post showed beds in total disarray. Now I can kind of understand the blankets are messed up. That's kind of standard. Trash, though, I saw the other pictures. This is true. Just trash scattered throughout the room, an overall level of filth that shocked viewers. I saw the pictures, and you can check them out here. I mean, what they did was pretty bad. Comment sections quickly filled with reactions ranging from stunned disbelief to harsh condemnation, with many saying the mess went far beyond normal untidiness, which it did. As the post spread rapidly through social media, it reignited long-simmering frustrations in Japan over tourist manners and respect for shared spaces. Critics argued that such behavior reflects a blatant disregard for basic hotel etiquette, while others warned that generalizing entire groups based on individuals' actions. Though some attempted to downplay the incident as an isolated case, the images proved hard to ignore. For many netizens, the episode became another flashpoint in ongoing debates about over-tourism, cultural responsibility, and expectations placed on visitors to Japan. Now, I have a buddy of mine, Brian, and that's his real name. I won't give his last name. But anyways, Brian has spent a good 2 decades traveling to just about every country you can think of. He's been to, off the top of my head, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Colombia, Philippines, India, Egypt, all over the world. And he's done this for 2 decades. So anytime I need to know anything about airlines and routes and where to get a good hotel, he knows this stuff inside out. So he, as just sort of a personal inquiry over the years, in different countries, has asked hotel staff, because he's very good about getting along with the hotel staff and, tipping them well. And, because he comes back to these hotels on a regular basis. And so he has asked over the years, different countries' hotel staff, which nation tends to be the most rude. And the response he kept getting from all these different places was China and India. And honestly, that doesn't surprise me. If anybody's been following what's been going on there in Thailand, a lot of Indians have all of a sudden shown a big interest in Thailand. And even the local guys, who have been there a long time and stuff, they're kind of like looking at it sideways like, yeah, this is not a good direction. So, I remember when I was in Vietnam, I went to this restaurant. Some of you may have seen the video. Me and my date, we went to this, it was a nice restaurant, and it seated about maybe 80 people. We went early, and so there was only one table that was occupied. All the other tables were available. And at that table, they had pushed together some tables, and there was about 14 Chinese people. So as the host began taking us into the restaurant to choose a seat, right away, these people they were all Chinese, and they were all just talking at the top of their lungs, not even like laughing and joking, just simply their conversation was just over the top, just rude. And I started looking at the hostess. I was like, no, I don't want to sit anywhere near there. So she put us over on the other side of the restaurant. It was so loud. And with all the clanging and banging of dishes and just chaos, I just turned to the host and I said, this is unacceptable. And we left. Now, fortunately, there was another restaurant upstairs, just as nice, equally big, all that. And I was not surprised. We get in, we walk in, same thing. The hostess goes to take us to our table. And the restaurant was probably about 40, maybe 50%, occupied. Everybody else had the same reaction. Everybody else had already gone downstairs, witnessed the chaos that these 14 Chinese people were making, and went to the upper restaurant. So, like it says here, you can't overgeneralize, and I'm not saying that every single Chinese person acts this way, but there are trends. Stereotypes exist for a reason. It's because there's an overwhelming reoccurrence of certain behaviors. So anytime I hear somebody say, oh, well, Americans are the worst, expats and tourists, whatever. Yeah, there's some pretty crass American tourists, I mean, there's what they call the ugly American who just goes in and starts criticizing and bellowing and complaining, well, back in my country, this, that. Well, I would say that every country has its portion of bad tourists. But when it comes to China, I have lost count how many news articles and how many personal anecdotes I've gotten from other travelers that involved Chinese travelers. In fact, Thailand, basically, this was about maybe 5 years ago, they went ahead and said that something like only Thai people could do the tourist tours in the country because the Chinese-speaking Chinese tourists that were taking the Chinese around were giving a whole other history of every single landmark in Thailand, basically taking credit and saying, oh, China did this. China's responsible for that. See this great, whatever? Yeah, China. So that's pretty rude. I mean, it's outright deceptive. Hey, this last one here comes to us from Jason Silverman, and it's basically saying Department of Health, now this is in the Philippines, Department of Health is considering HIV testing for tourists entering the Philippines. Again, the link is here. You can go check out the article. Everybody I've talked to, different expat friends of mine and all that, has had the exact same reaction. Now, this is kind of in response to that other expat that I mentioned at the beginning, who said he was going to go spread HIV all over the place. I believe, as it turned out, he was tested. He wasn't even HIV positive. He just thought it would be a funny thing to say, but he kept on saying it and delivered it seriously as if it was true. Again, trying to just anger bait people into watching his channel. So now you've got this response from the Philippine government that they're considering, this is not required, want to make that clear, they're considering HIV testing in the future. I'm sure this has to go through the government and, be, passed in some sort of, meaningful way. So right now this is not being required. But just the very fact that they're considering it, and if it were to be implemented, everybody I have talked to, every expat said, well, if they're trying to boost the Philippine tourism numbers, this is not going to help. It's a matter of what's called friction. If there's just one more obstacle you got to deal with to do something, you're going to go the path of least resistance. Oh, Thailand doesn't require this. Vietnam doesn't. Cambodia. In fact, nobody's requiring this. Why on top of everything else would somebody want to go to the Philippines and have to deal with this? So I understand it's probably well-intentioned and everything, but if they do this, they do need to consider the impact it will have negatively on the rate of tourism coming to the Philippines. So just want to go ahead and leave you with all that. Again, there's lots and lots and lots of articles here, here at Expat in Asia News and Chat. I update it daily. So there's always something. If you want to know what's going on, this is the place. You want to chat about it, comment with other expats about it. It's a decent sized group. We're at about 852 members. So yeah, I'll give you the link there in the top comment and also in the description. And, sometimes it might take me a day, depending on the time zone, to see your request and approve it. Okay. So, we'll check out and see what's going on later in the news. But that was this week. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.